Hi, and welcome back to Beans and Bezels. Today I get to share with you a brand that I've been wanting to try for a very long time, and that's Scurfa. I was about to purchase one of their more easily available Diver 1 models a few months ago, but then I found out that a limited edition Milspec Diver 1, that is the MS20, was scheduled to be released in June, so I waited and was fortunate enough to grab one before they all sold out. I won't go into the details of the brand and its story, but I'll leave a link in my written review to an interview done with the owner Paul Scurfield, who is a saturation diver by profession and a passionate watch enthusiast. This watch cost me about $320 and has exceeded all my expectations, and I'm very happy to share this with you all. Let's check it out. The case is easily the best aspect of this watch, and undoubtedly one of the best quality dive watch cases I've seen under $1,000. The case is made of titanium and measures in at 40mm in diameter, 48mm from lug to lug, and 14.5mm in height. These watches were designed to be affordable substitutes for more expensive professional dive watches like the Rolex Submariner. This watch obviously borrows heavily from the Rolex Submariner family, but unlike most homage watches, it also tries to live up to the extremely high standards set by the Submariner for crown stability and ergonomics and the bezel operating experience. The overall case is completely brushed, as any practical tool watch should be in my opinion, and I particularly enjoy the greyish color of the titanium. The quality of finishing is excellent and I couldn't find anything wrong with it. The crown is also made of titanium and has a ridge pattern very similar to a modern Submariner. It is extremely comfortable to operate, and the crown action is unlike any other watch in this price category, automatic or otherwise. The 7mm screw-down crown has 4 gaskets and screws down very securely into the case without any crown or stem wobble. This kind of quality is something I haven't seen on a sub $500 watch before. The crown and guard design is also machined very well. The bezel is really well executed. The bezel edge is designed similarly to the Submariner and is manufactured perfectly. It is easy to grip and adjust and also looks amazing. The 120 click bezel action is loud and solid and has no backplay. The clicks are very satisfying. The insert is made of aluminum and finished very well. I also like that the bezel is marked for 60 minutes and there is a loomed pip and a triangle at the 12 o'clock position. The quality of finishing on the bezel is just ridiculously good for a $320 watch. Flipping it over, there's a solid screwed case back that has a serial number and a few other specifications engraved onto it. I believe that the case back has a double gasket design underneath, and together with the screw-down crown, this watch is rated for 500 meters of water resistance. There's a helium escape valve on the side of the case. And overall, the case is incredible. I'm beyond impressed with the quality of materials and construction. The tolerances all across the watch are excellent, and I would safely say that I haven't seen a $320 watch with a better case than this. The dial is simple and in line with Milspec divers of the past. I love the oversized white rectangular indices because of how effortlessly legible they are. There is a date window at the 3 o'clock position with black font and a white date wheel. I would have preferred if it were at the 6 o'clock position, but that's just me. I also think a black date wheel with white font may have helped it blend into the dial a bit better. The hands are generously loomed with BGW9 and are painted glossy white. The hands are relatively large, and the minute hand extends all the way up to the minute markers, which is excellent for legibility. The seconds hand has a loomed circular element, and the seconds hand extends up to the markers as well. I think the choice of hands is good, and they appear to be reasonably well finished too. There are some uneven surfaces on the hands, but nothing too obvious. One of the areas in which this watch shows its price category is with the alignment of the seconds hand and the dial markers. It isn't as bad as some of the watches I've owned in the past, but the seconds hand misses the mark about 50% of the time. It's only just a fraction of a millimeter off, typically, but if you go looking for it, you will find it. Unfortunately, this comes with the territory and there's not much to be done about it. So even though this watch looks and feels like a $750 diver, it still has some pain points. All the loomed elements are BGW9. They are quite bright and don't fade away quickly. All the hands have loom and the bezel pip is loom too. I have no complaints about the loom on this watch whatsoever, so I'll just leave you with this clip. I don't typically get into the specifics of a watch crystal since most brands I've reviewed so far execute theirs very similarly. The Scurfa is worth mentioning because it appears to be single domed with a blue anti-reflective coating on the underside only. What this means is that you end up with a lot of distortion when not viewing it head on, and the lack of anti-reflective coating on the top surfaces means that you pick up reflections on the crystal when you're outdoors. For a watch that was designed primarily to be a tool watch, I would have liked to see a double dome crystal at the very least. I'm quite sure the reason to go with a single dome was to keep the cost down. I like the blue AR coating from the layer under the crystal, but it does get a bit tricky to read when there's heavy reflections. This watch uses a Ronda 715 Swiss Quartz movement. This isn't bad and is even gold plated and has 5 jewels. It appears to be a roughly $20 movement and clocks in with an accuracy of around -10 to +20 seconds per month. Scurfa have done their part to ensure the movement stays mounted safely and robustly by using a metal movement holder. The 40 by 48 by 14.5mm dimensions fit great on my 6.25" wrist. The dome crystal makes up roughly 1mm of that 14.5mm height, so practically it's a shorter watch and is easy to wear even on a smaller wrist such as mine. The watch weighs about 75 grams on the rubber strap, which is very light for a 500-meter dive watch. This watch ships with a good quality grey toxic NATO strap. I'm not a big fan of NATO straps, so I switched it out to the rubber strap as soon as it arrived. The rubber strap is excellent with good quality materials that allow it to be soft but also quite robust. To wrap things up, I think the Scurfa MS20 is an amazing watch for the money. I know a lot of people will say that it is overpriced for a quartz watch, but I very much disagree. Even if you subtract the $20 movement, you're still getting a case that is extremely well made, and the build quality is on par with watches that are 2 to 3 times its price. There's not a single aspect about the case design or manufacturing that I can complain about. The dial and crystal are good, but I can see a few people being turned away by the lack of ER coating and the large amount of crystal distortion. The strap options are excellent, and both are made with quality materials and are very comfortable. The dimensions of the case are also excellent, and I had no problems with it on my 6.25" wrist. Overall, I think this would make a perfect everyday beater watch. I believe that every collection needs at least one quartz watch that can be grabbed in a hurry and one that's ready in an instant. For those of us that aren't professional divers, this watch fills that vacancy perfectly. This is also a great watch to take with you on a beach vacation because it is relatively inexpensive and can handle anything you throw it at. Getting an MS20 now will be quite difficult since it is a limited edition run of 100 pieces. But I'll take a guess that the rest of the Scurfa collection is as impressive as this watch, maybe just a bit heavier. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to read the full review in the link below.